There's been a lot of talk recently about Kang the Conqueror still being a part of the MCU and Doom coming in and essentially killing Kang to establish himself as a super powerful threat, bigger than Kang, because Kang was the one who was set up to be the big bad. And a lot of people really do want some closure on Kang's story in the MCU. They don't just want him to be done with all of a sudden, especially after that Ant-Man and the Wasp post-credit scene. And luckily, we have heard from many different insiders who state Marvel does have some sort of a plan to end Kang's story as Doom comes in. Hopefully that ends up being true. And also, hopefully we get Kang the Conqueror down the line after Avengers Secret Wars at some point, because he really does deserve a story. But the big question left with the fandom right now is, what exactly are the Russo brothers and Marvel Studios going to do story-wise with Dr. Doom coming in to be the big bad over Kang? How are they going to finish that story? Well, it looks like we found a way that would perfectly connect Doom to everything that Kang has actually mentioned before. Now, this theory was originally sent to me on X, but I think I tracked it down to the original person who posted this on Reddit under MCU theories with the username DazMania616. So here's the theory. Since the Doom announcement, I've been thinking a lot about how they could realistically pivot from one villain to the next, and I've seen other people's ideas where a scene depicts Doom killing off the Council of Kangs and walking away. Job done. But in my opinion, that doesn't really work and just seems too much like bad fanfiction. And I would say I kind of agree here. I want more than just Doom shows up and kills them. I want there to be a specific reason why, not just to show why he's so powerful, but I want it connected to the story. That's where we bring it to what He Who Remains said in Loki season 1, where he talks about the multiversal war, the war where his variants are involved, and how he has seen how it ends. And this is a scene that I often do go back to because I don't think the Russo brothers are just going to abandon everything that Kang said in Loki season 1, or Loki season 2 for that matter. But how do we specifically tie in what He Who Remains said with Doom's arrival in the MCU? This is where it starts to get really good. The theory states, now we know this multiverse war causes incursions and universes collide, bringing about the end of the multiverse. But what if it wasn't the end that He Who Remains spoke of? What if he saw the aftermath? What if he saw Battleworld with Doom in control, ruling over everything and everyone that's left, including him? And that is, in fact, the reason he created the sacred timeline. Not just to stop his variants, but to stop the rise of Doom, which is actually the repercussion of all the Kangs messing with the multiverse. Now, there's more here that does involve the Fantastic Four, and we're going to get to that in just a bit, but I want to actually bring this to the Beyonders, because with this theory, I actually think the Beyonders could be swapped out in the MCU for the Council of Kangs. This would be a different story than the comics, obviously, but they never adapt the story exactly for what it is. They only take inspiration from the stories. And in the comics, we find out that the Beyonders are the ones who are about to destroy the multiverse via Molecule Man. Infinite amounts of Molecule Man that they made specifically to be bombs to destroy every single universe. And while bringing in the Beyonders is totally doable in the MCU, it would be coming out of left field, and they're already gonna do that with Dr. Doom. And I think Marvel would rather connect everything rather than just having so many things come out of left field, out of nowhere. Which is why the Beyonders could be replaced with the Council of Kangs, specifically Ramatut, the Scarlet Centurion, and Immortus. Because He Who Remains does talk about the multiversal war being basically the end. He says, this was almost it. The end of everything. But then he harnessed the power of Alioth and he secluded our timeline. And they could retcon it to where, yes, he was talking about at the end of it all, it was the end of the multiverse and all that was left is Doom and Battleworld. But by this logic, by what he is saying, it does make sense that the Council of Kangs are the ones who actually bring the death of the multiverse, which is what essentially the Beyonders do in the comics. So I think they could be swapped out here. But there is more to this theory. It goes on and says, this could also explain why the Fantastic Four aren't in 616, because without them, there is essentially no Dr. Doom. This also got me thinking about how the Fantastic Four will get to the 616 universe, as it's been theorized that their universe will collapse at the end of the film, and they'll travel over to the main universe. What they might need is a multiversal engine core. Now, who have we seen with one of those before? Maybe Reed and Victor are experimenting with one of these, and that's the experiment that goes wrong and gives Victor his scarred face. Now, I think this would be really cool, especially because there is a connection between Kang and Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom. Kang is actually said to be a descendant of Reed Richards or Dr. Doom. It's not 100% clear, but Kang's real name is Nathaniel Richards, which is the name of Reed Richards' father. But also in the comics, when Kang has the guise of Ramat Tut, he loses to the Fantastic Four and he tries to go back to his original time. However, Kang gets caught in a time storm and it doesn't allow him to go back, and eventually he runs into Dr. Doom, and they believe that they are possibly related to each other. And Dr. Doom inspires Nathaniel, Kang, to abandon the Ramat Tut guise and adopt one that was very similar to Doom, and thus the Scarlet Centurion was born. So Kang has big connections to both Reed and Victor Von Doom. So it would make sense that Kang would know about Dr. Doom. And if the end result really is Battleworld, in which we have seen the leaked concept art that shows us that Marvel Studios has at least been considering doing Battleworld. So if that's the case, it makes sense that Kang would have saw that, the end, because that is essentially what is coming. The incursions are happening. The multiverse collapse has begun. The war will take place, because when universes start to collide into each other, the way to save your own universe is to destroy the other universe's Earth. So that war is coming, plus the war against Dr. Doom and what would have been the war against the Kangs. But retconning it to where the end that He Who Remains saw was Doom, I think makes perfect sense, and it's a way to kind of keep the continuity of everything going even though Kang's leaving and Doom is coming in. So let me know what you think about this theory in the comments down below. Now, we do have some new information about Jonathan Majors wanting to return as Kang the Conqueror. In fact, he has recently revealed that after he was fired, he sent a letter to Kevin Feige. And he also said that he doesn't necessarily feel like it's over for him as Kang the Conqueror at Marvel Studios. He's been doing a lot of interviews recently for his comeback movie, Magazine Dreams. And of course, people are asking him about Marvel and losing the role of Kang the Conqueror. And in one specific interview, he was asked about Marvel giving Robert Downey Jr. and Jeremy Renner second chances after their controversies, and if it's possible for him to return to Marvel. And Jonathan Majors said this: "Yeah, I mean, you play the hand you're dealt. It's not over until it's over. Man, here's the thing about Marvel. You don't know until you know." I will say this though, of all the characters I've played, Kang carries a certain novelty and challenge for an actor that I would love to play again. When I hear people talking about it, as long as the streets are talking, as long as the fans are talking, there's hope. He continued and said, "When I was invited to the Marvel Universe to play, of all the characters, Kang, I loved it. I miss it. I want to do it again. The role is incredible and is unique from any other role I've played because of the lexicon of the characters that he gets to play. I absolutely want to do it again, and if there's a way, I'd love to do it again." That's in the hands of the Disney Corporation. Then in another interview, he was talking about a letter he sent to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige right after he was fired, and he said this: "I don't know how it was received. I've got his info, I know it's him, and I sent it to him. I'm sure he was in a tough position when I sent it to him. It was long after a lot of this stuff. I love that man. I've got nothing but love for Marvel. I didn't hear back." So as he explains, after he was fired by Marvel Studios, he sent a letter to Kevin Feige. It sounds like he expressed his love for the character Kang, his love for Marvel, his love for Kevin Feige, but Kevin Feige never wrote him back. He never heard back from Marvel or Kevin Feige, which would seemingly tell us that, hey, Marvel Studios has essentially moved on from Jonathan Majors. Maybe they bring back Kang, but maybe they recast him at this point. So it appears that Jonathan Majors is done as Kang the Conqueror, but like he said, you don't know until you know. And if the fans are talking about it, if the streets are talking about it, there's hope. Probably not a lot of hope at this point in time, but again, you never know. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this, and let me know your thoughts about this Kang and Doom theory in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest Marvel news, rumors, and leaks. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.